Hello and welcome to DDOCast episode 500, recorded live on Saturday 23. It's 500 episodes. Yay, we made it to 500. And we'll talk about that with our guests this week. We have, actually before we do that, so I'll wait, we'll do the screenshot of the week first, and then we'll go to the camera shot so you can see who's here. The screenshot of the week is Weasley the Wicked hides in the mists of Barovia by two weeping angels in our 346 DDO screenshot of the week. This is not necessarily confirmed, and one of our guests may choose to confirm or deny or completely remain silent, but probably if you're submitting screenshots of the week, Ravenloft ones are probably going to be more likely to win. Just guessing. Like I said, one of our guests may or may not confirm that. Speaking of our guests, it's the 500th episode, so we figured we had to do something kind of neat. So we've got Jerry Snook, the founder of DDOCast, 10.5 years ago.
Yeah, jeez, 10.5. Yeah. Hey, welcome everyone. Thank you very much for being here. Amazing that we've hit 500. I mean, it's just one of those. It's a big milestone. Not a lot of podcasts even hit 500, and just to think that this is one of them that's kept it going all this time. It's real cool. Real cool. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. And we also have the Trents, Anne and Sigfried Trent, who have been away from DDO and DDOcast for quite a while, but welcome back to the show.
Hello.
Hi. Wow.
I think at 500 you have to officially say you're now in the epic levels of podcasting.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Perhaps
Epic level
I don't know. It might be more appropriate to say the legendary levels.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I
could be
guess
that.
I think
that's better.
300's got to be around epic, right?
Okay.
Somewhere
That works for me.
maybe 400. Though now we have to figure out what happens when we reach 1,000.
Oh. Think of it as God, I don't know, godhood or something.
God mode.
God
Yeah.
mode.
You win the internet. I think it's it's how it works. Yep.
I'm gonna assume no
Well-
one's actually made it to 1,000 episodes yet, but
Not that I
can't
know
think
of.
of
There
it.
may be some daily podcasts that have been going a long time that have a ridiculous number, but 500 is in a rarefied breed.
yes,
Fabulous. Congratulations.
yay us.
Amazing.
In any case, we like to talk about Dungeons & Dragons online nearly every weekend. You can watch us through Twitch, YouTube, the DDO forums, iTunes, or from our website, DDOcast.com. DDOcast is hosted by Cyber Ears, the awesome podcast hosting network. Shows are usually available within a few days of recording, and the next show will probably be next weekend. You can stay updated by following us on social media or our website, DDOcast.com, with our calendar. On the podcast this week, we do have some news, so that's exciting. We're also just going to kind of chat about making it to 500 episodes and what that looked like and what that took to get there, and it's going to be a free-form discussion and just kind of celebrate that, hey, there's 500 episodes of DDOcast. Actually, there might be a little bit, just kind of some special things out there, too, from DDOcast that aren't really included in the official count.
Yeah, there are. I know I could think of at least 2 episodes that are kind of unnumbered episodes, but I'm not quite sure. Because we had the one Christmas one that was like year 2 or whatever, and that was just a special, just like an audio special. And then there was someone I think just filled in. I can't remember. Yeah, we've had at least a couple. So
There's a couple.
I don't think we ever did any unnumbered ones.
I don't remember, to be honest.
yeah,
I do
So
remember
bad.
there being a few that were kind of this is sort of an episode, and it'll get us closer. Like, I don't know, the Trents particularly were trying to get to 300 before you left, so there were a couple in there that were not normal shows, but
Well, I don't know if I
Quite
counted
possibly,
them or not. I mean, like, I did a couple of, like, this is all the commercials, just for, like, posterity, like, this is
Right.
amazing. I should collect all the commercials and put it all together. But I didn't number those. That's what I remembered. I know I didn't number any of the dev interviews. Those were, like, separate. So, and then, I don't know, I did number, like, the big ones, like the 200 and the 300 one, because and I had to split one of them in half because I was trying to interview everybody,
Yeah.
everybody who did the segments, and I was like, so what are you doing now? kind of a thing. So
Um,
that's all I remember.
yeah, it's been lovely. By the way, I'll be while we're doing the show live, I'll occasionally be putting some point codes in the chat room. But I'm not going to fill in all of the digits because I don't want it to just be the first person to grab it and go. So apologies for those who do not like games. But there's not really a fair way to stick a one random code in for 20 people in the chat room. So that's kind of how we've done this before on the show. But this just kind of gives it a little bit of other people an opportunity and a little bit of randomness to it. In any case, back to 500. So just to kind of give people, some newer listeners, an idea, let's quickly go through kind of a history of the show. Because, Jerry, why don't you just kind of talk briefly about starting the show and getting it to the point where you pass it off to the Trents?
Sure. So it started in around the holidays, around this time of the year. I thought about doing one because I had been really into podcasts. I commuted a lot for work. I was a reporter. I spent a lot of time on the road, and podcasts had just fairly recently become a thing, and video game podcasts were really big to me. And so when I was on the road a lot, I was constantly listening to podcasts. And I figured, at the time, some of the other big MMOs like World of Warcraft, that kind of thing, had podcasts already, but a lot didn't. And I was really into DDO, of course, and I was like, well, DDO needs one. Surely there must be one. Oh, there isn't one. And then it took me about a week of just kind of saying, I did work in radio. I do have the basic technology and equipment to get this done. Maybe I should do one. And so it took me, I guess, a couple of weeks to get motivated, get it all ready to go. And it was late February of 2007 that I did the first show. I can't remember the exact date, 22nd, 28th, something like that. 22nd, I think. And I knew it was going to be a success right away. I put it on Cyber Ears, which is still our hosting network that does a great job there. And right away, I mean, within minutes, I had like 100 people downloading it. And I posted on the forums, and it just took off from there. And people were real positive about it. And so I just knew that we were onto something. But I also knew that I couldn't do it all on my own. I mean, I kind of could, but it just wouldn't be as good. So pretty early on, I got the idea of just saying, hey, if someone else wants to do it, I'll do kind of the work on putting this whole thing together. Just send me segments and stuff. And I really think that is why DDOCast has survived as long as it has. So, we got the community liked it, the community got involved in it, and we were able to sustain it pretty much every single week for a long time. And it was my last episode was 192.
Somewhere in that range, yeah.
Yeah. And the reason for that at that point was I got hired by Turbine, Warner Brothers Games, and had to not do the podcast in order to work for Turbine. So that is ultimately why I ended up shifting the reins over to Sigfried and Anne, who had done, segments and stuff, really crunchy bits and a bunch of other good things too, before I took it over. So I guess that's kind of the short and sweet version of it.
And then the show transitioned to the Trents. Why don't you guys briefly just kind of go into what your time with the show was like?
Sure. So yeah, we did the segments for a while, and those were fairly popular. And so we talked to each other about who would take over when Jerry was in. We weren't 100%. We waited a little bit to see if anyone else wanted to do it, but he didn't get volunteers right away, so we volunteered. And Anne generally did the audio and visual production for us, and I kind of wrote the show and performed most of the content, I guess it was. So we made a pretty good team. Early on, we had kind of a tightly scripted show, and that turned out to be a lot of work in order to edit. So then we moved to doing a live show, and that was just sort of a lot easier to put together, and it kept Anne from feeling like she needed to edit it since it was live. So then it became a lot easier to do it.
And I thank you for that, because editing takes forever.
It does. It's really hard to edit a podcast. And I tell people anytime somebody wants to start a podcast, I tell them, Look, you could try to do it really slick and professional, but if you're doing that by yourself, that's not going to work out terribly well. So do a live podcast; it'll be a lot easier. And try to get somebody else to come and help you occasionally and be on the show with you, because that also makes it easier. And so yeah, so it worked out really well. We enjoyed it quite a lot, and we got up to episode 300, and then we just, I don't know, just decided I was playing a little less DDO. We had some other things that we wanted to get into, and so I had less time for it. And it's a lot of work, as I'm sure you all know. Even when you do it kind of casually, it's still a fair amount of effort to put into the show.
Because let's just say, even if it just takes 2 hours, and it almost never does, but let's just say it takes 2 hours to do an episode, and you do it every Saturday or just about every Saturday, that's 2 hours no matter what you're doing that weekend. You got to set aside time to get the show out. So, and realistically, it was more like 4 or 5 or maybe even a little more than that, depending.
Yeah, I would say at the minimum we would spend 4 hours a week on it. That was minimum. Usually it's like 4 to 6.
I found it amazing because it took 2 of us to do what Jerry did. One guy.
That's right.
But again, a lot of that was because I had a lot of segments that were coming in, so that made it relatively easy. I already had the audio editing equipment and that from working in radio and stuff. So a lot of the process of getting it out was fairly easy for me. But also, it really did matter a lot that I had people come in and do a lot of the groundwork for me. So a lot of what I had to do was put together the news, kind of do the master recording, and then edit in all the stuff using a multi-track audio editor, which really isn't that difficult for me.
Yeah.
So. But we got to pick up on your show formatting, right? And so even though we changed things around, made it suit us a little bit better, generally speaking, you still laid the groundwork. We didn't have to publicize it or do any of that kind of stuff, and it came with a ready-made community to support us. So, so we got a lot of help from you in making it happen.
It really had a solid foundation. I really liked some of the stuff that the community came up with. Just was part of the motivator of why I wanted to give it a try. And another reason is that I had been working with KXP in Seattle for about 6 months, and I thought, I really want to give this a shot to see if my radio skills are up to par. And man, it was still hard, but I learned a lot, had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
And so now, Patrick, I think you've done more episodes than any of us now.
Yep, that's true. He is now the rating king of DDOcast hosts.
And that leads up to Patrick,
who took over the show when you guys kind of showed up in my living room, literally. True story.
Hey, Pat.
So you guys kind of took it up to 300. It wasn't right at 300 that we kind of started talking. And yes, they did actually show up in my living room, but that was because we were living less than 2 miles from each other.
Something like that.
I worked right next to where you lived.
You worked, and it was less than 15 minutes just to show up in your living room. It's like, hey, it's Patrick.
Yeah, so they buttered me up by taking me out to dinner and telling me how an awesome of a job I did with the segment that I was doing, Epic Education, and then said, hey, we're going to pass the show off to someone, and we think it should be you. And I said yes.
Yay!
And again, there was a transition period that kind of figured out how I was going to do it, and back then we were still using Google Hangouts, and I since switched to Skype and OBS and made some other changes. I have never really been fortunate enough to have a lot of segments. I recently do have someone who started submitting segments, and I hope they continue. And ideally, more people would do segments. It would be great, because I think that's one of the better parts of the show. But yeah, and I've often kind of latched onto the minimal editing, and I actually try to mix things on the fly. I even do the music. I know some other people do like Damsels, and I don't think Cocktail Hour still is the thing, unfortunately.
No, they haven't done a show in quite some time.
Yeah,
but,
and DDO Players News, they do their music separately and edit it back in. I actually do it live to save myself some editing time, because there's certain parts of editing that are really fast to do, which I will kind of get into a little bit later. I have some news kind of about where the show's going and stuff like that, and things are going to be changing. But I was doing walkthrough episodes for a while, so that instead of doing a random, or just instead of doing a roundtable topic, I would actually for that week do a walkthrough, and taking two videos and putting them together is not a big deal. The time suck there is waiting for the software to spit it out.
Yeah.
But the one episode that I did a walkthrough of Temple of Deathworm, where we talked about it, and what I did for that one is we actually talked about it, and then I went back and spliced in footage of me running Temple of Deathworm over us talking. And I discovered at that point that my free software wouldn't let you overlay a video on top of a video. So what I had to do was convert the podcast part into an audio file, put the audio over that, and then splice in the footage of me running, and then cut out the excess footage, and then try to get it to line up with us talking, the audio to get it line up with us talking.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it is amazing when you think about how the technology has changed. I mean, I remember the first couple of episodes I had actually recorded. I had a portable digital recorder unit that I had for work reasons. And so it wasn't on an SD card. I can't even remember what they were called, but they were like fat versions of SD cards with pin sort of acceptor things on the end of them rather than like, say, a circuit or whatever. So I recorded them on that, like a little portable hard drive. Then I'd plug it into the computer and I'd import it into Cool Edit Pro, which was sort of the big thing at the time, and use that to put together the final episode before I'd upload it to Cyber Ears and stuff. Because my computer just, I could get it done, but by using a portable thing, it just tended to work out a little better. I remember we tried to do some live shows towards kind of the latter third of my tenure there, and we were using Ustream. Remember Ustream, folks? Yeah. And we even tried, remember there was even a couple of call-in episodes where we used Google Voice so that we could get a Google Voice number and people could actually call in. Of course, it was kind of hard to get people to call in, so we had to bribe them with points and stuff. But it worked, that worked. But yeah, so that was really kind of early days live stuff. I mean, the fact that like Twitch and even YouTube Live and all this other stuff exists now is just kind of amazing. And if podcasting is sort of a result of the technology getting easy and into the hands of the layperson, then what we're at now is just the next evolution of that, where it's video production and video putting together shows in a way that back in 2007 just would have been unheard of.
Yeah, and the Trents did some live calling in, or had that as an option. I've mostly gone away from that, mostly because people weren't taking advantage of it.
Right.
And I never really was sure, which was kind of a good thing, a blessing in disguise, because I wasn't really sure how I was going to grab that and put it in, to be honest.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It's particularly since I took over from the Trents, who were two people, and took it over as one person. There were certain things that really kind of just like, well, they're just going to fall off the plate. And it's unfortunate, but and sometimes I've always tried to do timestamps with the show, but sometimes just I get busy, and there were a couple weeks where I just didn't do timestamps.
Yeah, timestamps are such a pain.
They are.
I mean, it helped me to do like the post show, because it kind of was a check on the show to make sure that I wasn't missing anything. Because I don't listen through each episode from start to finish, right? Like I would kind of listen through at that part. So it gave me a chance to kind of listen to snapshots of the show to make sure everything sounded good and there wasn't anything like really outlier, which has actually created noticeable problems in the past. I've found that, if I just export the file from Twitch, it doesn't, sometimes there's little cuts in it. Like there's parts missing.
Right.
Oops.
Yeah. I mean, we still are early days on a lot of this kind of tech stuff. I mean, Twitch is amazing. There's a lot of good stuff going on, but you do see kind of hitching and some of these early days sorts of things that I'm sure in a year or two is going to be non-existent. So,
but there's other things like when I grab the content that I grab, I mostly pay attention to just a few sources for letting the community know about other community things, just because I only have so much time to grab stuff. Anyways, the news portion is actually not too difficult for me because I was already looking at the dev tracker for new to find out what the devs are saying because it impacted the game I was playing and stuff like that. So, but yeah, there's definitely been I don't have time to create a ton of commercials or extra content for the show, and have in fact kind of one of the reasons why I've generally not done that is because not just because of time, but thinking that hey, maybe other people will submit. If you haven't figured it out yet, this is going to be a long commercial for me saying, hey, send me content so I can play it. But that was the theory anyway. It didn't really work great.
I ran out of time. I actually have an idea for another commercial kind of thing, and I just ran out of time to get it done. But we'll see. Maybe the 2018 will be the year I can submit something again.
I actually have some ideas for some commercials that I'll probably do because I'm again some other news later. But yeah, so we've made it to 500 episodes. There's kind of just some rambling history and kind of how we got to where we are. But I think we really have to kind of go back and just thank all the people that submitted segments and content and stuff. There are a number. I don't actually have a count. I think Rebus tried to count it once, and if I remember correctly, what he told me was it was really hard because it was a little tricky to figure out where do you count them. Like if they just submitted like one segment or one commercial and that was all we ever heard from them again, or but I think he came up with like around 150 people.
Yeah, it was at least that. I remember when I was getting ready to wrap up my tenure on the show, I had tried to put together a big thank you list, which included everybody. And I even had all the archives with me, right? But even then, some of the files came in over email that are weird, kind of, they linked to something in a private message on the forums and stuff. So I didn't always have it all in one place. And I couldn't find it all. I literally could not put that list together. So
yeah, it was hard to keep track of it. I mean,
yep.
I tried to go back through all the history stuff and try to find everybody, but I just didn't have any of those emails. And like you said, they came through the forums. They just had all those formats that they came in through. Some people like messaged me on Skype and then sent it to me that way. And we're like, I don't have Skype anymore, and I don't have those records. So
yeah, we had probably 10 to 20 people who
it was about
sent us,
25.
Yeah, more than one thing. So not as many during our tenure, and most of ours were regulars. You know, we had pretty reliable folks that would send us stuff. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, if you do start a podcast or something like that, learn from. I actually picked this up because Jerry mentioned this at one point on the show or the guest, something like that. And I actually started a list of. So I have a list of the people who participated while I've been on the show. Because I think he mentioned that at some point of like around like the 50th episode I did, so I was able to go back pretty. I only looked at the ones I had done, but so I actually have a list of people who are active and an emeritus list, and I actually started in that same spreadsheet. I have a list of the shows, which actually it started out by. I'm going to give a list of all the shows, so I have a list with the number and what the topic is and that kind of thing. But it also became I'm planning out, so it includes like the next couple shows, at least as far as I've got planned out, which sometimes is really far out, a month or 2 months out, and sometimes it's I know what I'm doing this week, sort of.
So. Yeah, it's 11:50 and I'm going on live at noon. Maybe I should think about what I'm doing this week, you know.
Usually ahead of that.
I always did mine like a day or two before, and that's about it. I didn't plan the shows out too much ahead of time.
I usually have at least the next show planned out, just because I've tried to make sure that it's not just me talking, because that's I think people just listening to me would be a little more boring. Yeah. At least I know if I was listening to myself for an hour and a half, that would be kind of boring.
Yeah. All right.
So I do try.
You never know. Sure. I always thought Crunchy Bits would be really boring for people, but they liked it. So you never know what people like to listen to.
Yeah.
Kitty's been bothering me to say hello, so
hey, Kitty.
I guess has the broadcast bug. Wants to say hello. All right. Yeah. So. But that's, I mean, I think part of that, though, is that if we had if it was a team effort, if it was, if there was any kind of revenue coming in, not that that was important or anything, but by having a producer, by having kind of a second person doing archiving, things like that. You could have gotten a lot more of that sort of thing done. But especially when you're kind of a 1 or 2 person team and you're doing it all yourself, you just don't have time for all that kind of extra after the fact work, So
Mm-hmm.
I have occasionally responded to people like, hey, why don't you do this? Like, don't got time. This is this is how big my plate is. This is what's on it. This is what I'm. If you would like that in the show, please do it. I encourage you to do it. I will help you do it. I can squeeze in an email or 3 in a week and give people advice and stuff on how they can be a part of the show. I'd be happy to do that, but there's only so much I can do on the show. Get some news about the show itself that might create some more time for some of that stuff. But in any case, yeah. So there's 500 is amazing. We just got to thank all the people that have been a part of the show, and I mean, especially Jerry and Ann and Sig, and I guess I should thank myself, which seems kind of weird. But I mean, between the four of us, between the four of us, we've managed to produce 400 episodes of a podcast that is mostly weekly, and is about an hour and a half to 2 hours long.
Yeah, right.
A
Apologies.
lot of content.
I know people would like it to be shorter.
I remember back in the day, I was like, okay, so never make them longer than maybe 35, 40 minutes. And I rarely ever achieved that even myself. And it was just like, I don't know. It's just something about podcasting. You just get talking and there you are. So
Well, I got feedback from people. I always thought maybe they were a bit long, but people were like, no, I love it. I listen while I'm driving, so it can be as long as you want. And
yeah, right.
So we just didn't worry about it too much and did them. But, after a while, you get tired of talking. You're like, all right, I got to go eat some food.
I think every time I've done a survey to say, as many people have said the show's too long, as many people have said it's not long enough. So it's a little mind-boggling, but an hour and a half is kind of what I've been aiming for a while. So, and I've mostly been able to get it. But when you're trying to do a discussion and the news, and then it kind of gets condensed, and you can't really finish either one properly, which kind of becomes problematic. But we're gonna work on that going forward. But I think anything else you guys want to say about 500 before we move into some other stuff?
No, that sounds good. I mean, just thank you for keeping it going, and ultimately, this is about people downloading and listening to it every week, right? I mean, it's the reason why we're able to do this is because people check it out. If we were just talking to ourselves, it probably wouldn't last 500 shows, would it?
No, the listeners are a huge part of this show. So I'll give them another 500 point code to fight over in the chat room.
Nice.
And of course, missing a digit, because got to make a little work for it a little bit, right?
So does this work? They like guess, and whoever manages to guess. Oh, okay, I gotcha. I see how it works. Cute.
All right, so I did it took me, I did the theme song. Ann and Sigfried finally got a cool looking sort of logo and website treatment. So what are you going to do, Patrick? First theatrical performance?
I say musical.
Musical. There you go. Yeah, I like it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll make a set or something.
The official DDOcast.
Yeah, there we
you
go.
gotta have one.
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
that.
I did do the scavenger hunt twice.
That
there
makes
we go.
perfect sense. You even do this for a living. Yeah, you're in charge of the back set. The set for DDOcast, the studio, as it were.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
How about I just give away more free stuff?
Yeah, it works.
So
Everybody loves that.
here's some of the free stuff that we've got going on. There's already a post on the forums about this, but we have an ultimate Ravenloft code to give away. Now, to get this, here's what you have to do. You have to take a picture of an in-game picture, and you can optionally use a little tagline or a caption about the picture. But your prompt is to give me a picture representing why you should get the Ravenloft code. It can be I encourage creativity. Look, in the grand scheme of things, if you take a picture of some random thing in DDO and say, "Hey, I want the code," I'll enter you into the sweepstakes. The Ravenloft code will be free, or will be free and giving it away. Will be randomly drawn from everyone who applies. So if you send me a picture in-game content you can get applied, as long as you give me a caption that somehow manages to make that how you can, it needs to give me a little something, just a random picture, but you can use that in the caption and say, hey, I really want the code. But the best code will get 1,000 points, or the best picture and entry will get 1,000 points, and the Witch's Creature Companion hat. So you are encouraged to use some creativity, but you don't have to be too creative to try and get the big prize, the Ravenloft code. The other things that I have to give away is if you reply to this show, just leave a comment or a forum post or wherever you find it, and just say, hey, congratulations, you made it to 500, or some form of that. You will randomly be entered into a 30-day VIP code.
Oh, cool.
So, and all you got to do is say, hey, congratulations. Not in Twitch, I'm sorry, because I don't know how to save the chat room for that. But you have to leave a comment on the show or wherever it's posted, whichever one you're looking at. However, again, the best congratulations will receive 1,000 points and a Witch's Creature Companion hat. So you're encouraged to be creative about that.
And by best, it means most flattering to all three sets of hosts.
Well, so my plan for both of these for the quote best will be I will probably pick out my top 5 favorites, and then poll some of the contributors for DDOCast as to which one is their favorite out of that. So it's not going to be one person judging in the final round, as it were. But so if you want to enter for the big prize, it's really simple. You just got to enter one of those two things. But if you want to try and be a little creativity and try to be the best, there's an extra prize for that. But yeah, anywhere that you see the show, YouTube, the DDO forums, DDOcast. If you're listening on iTunes, I recommend you go to one of the other ones, because the iTunes is probably where I would miss a comment more than anywhere else. So use the forums or YouTube or the website to kind of comment on that. I'll say you need to leave a comment, not a review, if that makes sense.
By the way, those witches' hats are actually pretty rare. They were made for me actually for this year's Night Revels as a community giveaway. And then the person who made it forgot to tell me they made it. And so I was putting together the Ravenloft release notes. And, because Ravenloft was such a long process, I was going all the way back to June on the DDO check-ins. And I was like, what is this? What is this witch's hat for community use line? And the guy was like, oh, yeah, right. I forgot I made you these things. Of course, it was now December 1st when I found this, right? So I asked, thankfully they make sense for Ravenloft too, but they're also just kind of awesome. So I gave a few away to some people in the community that I know are really into that kind of thing. And I've done a few for Movember meetups and things like that, but not many of them. So there's very few of these actually in the game right now. So if you happen to score one, you're probably less than 20 people in the game who has it. So
sweet.
Yeah. The other thing that we have a code. The Sandy Stone Games has created a code, DDOcast 500, and what that will get you is a nice little lesser experience elixir. It's one per account, but there's not an expiration date. So feel free to put that in and get a little extra experience. And most of these prizes were provided by Sandy Stone Games. So thank you very much to Sandy Stone Games for that, and thank you to Evil Beaker for providing the 30-day VIP code as well. So some great opportunities to get some free stuff.
Cool.
Yeah. So with that, we're gonna talk about game news. There's a little bit of game news. Probably won't be much next week because you guys, I believe, are enjoying some holiday time, but
all essentially personnel, non-essential personnel, are basically gone until the start of the new year. So, yeah. Except some of us work anyway, because that's just sort of the way it works.
Because you're essential, Joe.
Yeah.
You are an essential worker.
Well, it's more if they know I'm not around, then the forums, I'm just saying.
Right.
The cat's away, the mice will play.
I mean, the mice play in there. The mice play even when the cat's there. So
It's true.
let's see. So we'll talk about game news. Update 37, Hotfix 2, came out on Tuesday, the December 12th. Mostly it was just kind of fixing stuff, but I think we have to kind of pull out one really important release note from that. Was Kobolds previously had 2 dances, but they were not hooked up correctly until now. So there's a new old Kobold dance, I guess you could say. But mostly it was fixing some other stuff, and I think also part of the issue was I think that was where we were fixing Curse of Ravenloft, or was that or Curse of Strahd? That might have been the second one. Update 37 patch 1 also came out, and we got the Old Baba's Hut raid, which is pretty fun. And there was some other stuff that kind of got fixed as well. I mean, most of these were kind of trying to fix certain things, but there's also a sentient jewel of the Timid, who I think...
this is that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get to pick your personality there?
So the story behind that is we needed to get a sentient voice track file relatively set up so that we could do it for testing. Like when they were building the sentient weapon system, they needed a bunch of audio files to actually test, and they wanted to be relatively close to what the final product might look like, so we could check things like audio levels and annoyance levels, and how frequently should it proc, and does it play different things, and all the rest. So I created what essentially was a scratch track for the sentient weapon system, and I created a little personality for it. And then in our Ravenloft preview page, for some reason, we said we were going to do 6 sentient jewels, except that we weren't really ready to do 6 by the time Ravenloft came out. So it kind of got shoved from test thing to, hey, let's put it into the game. I actually did re-record the lines to make them a little bit higher quality and things like that, because like I said, it was originally meant to be a scratch track. And so that's why it's in the game. And it's also kind of nice because it allows us to find another way to get it out there. You can get them, from the Vistani NPC, you can get them from the raids, and now you can get this one for Vistani tokens. So it's kind of a nice way to get an extra sentient jewel. It's called Timid. Another word might be cowardly. It's so the basic, each sentient weapon has its own kind of backstory that may not even be readily apparent or mentioned in the game. Now, in my twisted mind, here's how the sentient jewel came around. It is a townsperson that got stuck in a sentient jewel. And how this townsperson got stuck in a sentient jewel is there was a Vistani baker who wanted to make a sentient donut, except that they put the sentient jewel into the donut and then accidentally sold the donut, and the person swallowed it and choked to death and died. And then their soul got put into the sentient jewel, and now that person is in your weapon.
Nice.
So.
And this is why we don't let Jerry write all of the backstories.
Yeah, right.
And they're still hungry to this day.
I may have said, well, when someone... We have... D&D has Modrons and wolves in sheep's clothing. Certainly we can have sentient donuts. So.
I think so.
Yeah.
Let's see. Some other stuff that came out of the release notes came out recently. There were, again, a bunch of fixes. Tomes, though, have changed significantly in how they apply. So when you read a tome, the inherent bonuses used to start at +1 at level 3, and then so on and so forth. Now, at level 1, you get +2, your first 2 inherent bonuses. Then at level 3 is +3, and then every 4 levels after that, you go up until level 19, where you get your +7. And at level 28, you get a +8, which immediately says, hey, +8s are available in the game.
Yeah, actually, technically, +8s are not right now, but +7 to 8 upgrade tomes are.
Yes.
And I believe +8s are going to be in the game very, very soon if they're not.
Well, the 7 to 8 upgrade is in the 2 new Ravenloft raids. So the change, my understanding is that this change, this will apply for any tomes you currently have. Presumably, you have to log in first for them to apply, though. Which so the +2 is not technically available until you log in. So your first feats won't apply. So the way it was kind of explained on the forums by one of the devs was essentially that during character creation you are level 0, and when you log in you become level 1 and then get the bonuses. So you could feat change them, but
Makes sense.
And there was some technical reasons for that other than sort of the level 0 thing, and that is, let's say you could get +2 during initial character creation. That means you could technically get some feats that you're really not supposed to have at level 1 because you would meet the attribute prerequisites with the tomes. And so it kind of messed things up a little bit behind the scenes if we were to allow it. But ultimately, we didn't have to worry about it because of the whole kind of way character creation works, which is part of why we were able to lower this level to the level that it is right now, because we didn't have to deal with, hey, can I get greater 2-weapon fighting technically at level 1? You know, that kind of thing. So,
well, some of those have level restrictions on them anyways. So
some do.
Or usually it's not a level restriction; it's usually a base attack bonus restriction.
Yeah.
Or in case of single weapon fighting, it's a balance restriction.
Yeah, I was respecing a character into that just the other day, and I was like, why can't I get this yet? Oh, I need balance. Oh, okay, all right, well, I'll figure that out.
One of the more hidden and annoying prerequisites for a feat.
Yeah, I've been simplifying my characters a little bit lately. I used to have very complicated characters for obvious reasons because I was into that kind of thing, but since I play a little less now, I'm streamlining them.
For those super crunchy players, because I know we have some of you listening to DDOcast, after you spawn into the game world, you can talk to Fred. I'm just saying.
So.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Let's see. Some of the quests in Ravenloft had their experience adjusted. Last Vintage, Oath of Vengeance, and Raven's Bane all had their base XP increased, which is pretty nice. Who doesn't like more XP? The quest Wrath of Earth had its base XP reduced slightly, however. And then they added a teleport from the Blood of the Vine Tavern to the Blue Water Inn. Unfortunately, it doesn't go the other direction.
It might soon. I
hope so.
seem to when I left work on Thursday late afternoon, Linabelle, who's back working during her college break, doing some kind of intern and DDO work for us, had said one of the last things she said was, I think we're going to make that retroactive as well. So she may have done that yesterday. I wasn't in the office to know, but
and some other stuff was mostly fixing things like Minotaur skeletons are now considered undead.
Yeah, right.
What were they before? Me?
Minotaurs.
Yeah.
Oh, Minotaurs.
Actually, there's some vampires that are still humanoids or humans.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I noticed that too. There's a couple of tweaks that still need to be made with some of the things that are supposed to be undead, except undead things are not working on them.
I will say though, I do really like that you can hold the shadows, and can crowd control the shadows and Curse of Strahd, so no need to change that. Let's see some bugs that are going on. There's an issue with vampirism on Warforged. It should only be affecting Warforged. It was fixed internally and should be an upcoming patch. And Lines of Supply is still closed. It will not be reopened until that can be resolved. But work on that has not yet been possible because of the workload with Ravenloft. So.
Yeah, the timing was terrible in terms of getting that one fixed, because I think it came up as the exploit that caused it to be closed. Literally came up, 36 hours before we were going to ship Ravenloft, and we just have not had time to do the work that's going to be needed to reopen that quest. So
shame it's an exploit, because I was going to ask you what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just an exploit, but it was a serious enough exploit that we have to keep it closed. So I'm sorry. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
It happens. There's some workarounds, right? Like you can still get into what goes up as long as someone has already flagged for it, stuff like that. But hopefully that'll get fixed rather quickly.
Yeah, my guess is it'll be fixed day one when people get back from the break here, or within the first couple of days. So if we do a patch sometime in January, which it probably looks like we're going to have a patch because of a couple of things in the new raid that need to be worked on, my guess is it'll be in there. But we'll see how it goes.
Hey, well, you're working on the new raid. Can you convince them to turn the respawns and the end fight down just a little bit?
Yeah, probably.
Stuff in the if you haven't done the end fight, it's actually a fun raid. We've kind of been enjoying it, but the respawns in the end fight are surprisingly fast. But it's been a pretty enjoyable, and I will say about the two new raids, and we'll talk about this when we do more when I do the Mr. Ravenloft review, but I do really appreciate that both of the raids are actually fairly simple. There's not a lot of crazy mechanics that you need to learn. I mean, there's some things you have to kind of figure out, but they're mostly pretty easy to figure out. The part where it gets a little challenging is the coordination part. Like, they both really require some high degrees of coordination and timing to execute well, which I actually really like in terms of what you're doing. So, bonus days. I'm sure everyone's going to love this. Plus 25% heroic XP, epic XP, and guild renown through January 1st.
All the XP, except for Reaper XP.
But congratulations, you've picked that during a week I actually have off for a change. I'm not working all weekend. The last several big XP boosts, like the buddy bonus weekend and other things that were both when I was working almost the entire weekend. So
I'm going to guess because we recently had that vet status 3 thing where you could create characters at level 10. If you both created a character level 10, played some of this Ravenloft stuff on heroic right away, and now take advantage of this 25 heroic and epic, you could probably cap out before the new year pretty easily.
Oh, definitely. Well, I know people that can take a character from 1 to 30 in
but I mean,
a week,
the less hardcore people could still probably cap out.
Okay,
know?
Sure.
Yeah.
Store news. There's a lot of store news going on. There's now a 19th shared storage. Hopefully that'll go on sale soon, so I can get that. Menace the Underdark and Shadowfell. No, it's not.
You know, on sale. Okay.
I mean on sale.
It is available for sale.
Is available to purchase, but it is not on sale. Discount. Menace the Underdark and Shadowfell Conspiracy have made it back to the DDO market, and they're 75% off through January 1st. So if you don't have those, it's a great time to buy. Even I would say at this point, especially since you're not going to get a lot of the bonusy stuff that you could get with it, the lower versions are probably are worth getting if you just want the content and maybe have a lot of the other stuff anyways. Because I think Menace the Underdark right now is like $5, and Shadowfell Conspiracy I think is like $7 or $8.
Nobody, please don't do that. Yeah, it's like that. The other thing is the legendary upgrade on Shadowfell is 75% off. Now, it's not the DDO point bundle, but that's the one that gets you, I can't remember what it all gets you, like potions and some other things. So you mentioned the base version. I might actually say, and I know I'm biased, but you might want to go up a little bit on the Shadowfell because 75% off that legendary upgrade is pretty amazing.
Shadowfell had the 2 versions, and then it had the legendary upgrade, which you could get with either version too. So
okay.
It's a little,
okay.
It's a little different.
Yeah. Okay.
But in any case, they're all 75% off. So if you don't have them, now's a great time to buy them. They were on sale for 85% off once. So 75% off is basically the best that we generally see on that. So.
And we knew there'd be a lot of demand because these had been unavailable in the DDO market for a little while. So we're really glad we were able to get it done and put them on sale for the holidays here.
Also, double bonus points and autos boxes are on sale through January 1st. And plus 7 tomes have been permanently added to the store, which, if I'm going to read between the lines, that means the next time the plus 7 tomes would have become magically on sale for a limited time, we'll probably see plus 8s instead. I'm just guessing.
I think you're right.
Could be.
Prognosticate a little bit there. December deals. Week 4 of that, you get 75% off of Epic Destinies. If you don't have them, get them now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yep.
Seriously. If you're new to the game and you think you're going to play into epic levels, get it now. I mean, unless you're buying I think Menace to the Underdark comes with it, but if you don't have Epic Destinies, you want Epic Destinies, and 75% off is as good a deal as you're going to find. Also, 50% off of the shared bank. Now, that's the base version, if I'm correct.
Correct. That's just the shared bank. We need to fix our nomenclature here. Technically, we use the term shared bank for the base bank and then shared storage for the updated ones. But it's certainly understandable why people would confuse the two. And so we should probably come up with like a base shared bank or something like that. But yes, it is half off. So if you don't have that, you might want to get it.
Yeah. Also, the Deep Known Iconic race is 50% off, and 25% off of the Mines of Tethumar Adventure Pack, which may be the first time it's been on sale. I'm not sure.
It is. Yeah.
Because it's always hard for me to figure out those ones, because there's the sale that's or select adventure packs are 20% off. So, okay,
yeah.
Which one?
We usually don't put the newest one on sale when we do those select adventure pack sales, but this is outside of Ravenloft, the newest one. So, yeah, first time it's been on sale.
The base sales for League Honor Your Guild, you get 20% off of Astral Shards and Guild Renown Elixirs, and 50% off of Guild Charters and Guild Airship Beacons. The December deals in the Honor Your Guild sales are through December 28th, which does seem to say that we are going to get new sales for that week after as well.
Yeah, I am actually going to be doing just a little bit of work next Thursday, and that is to publish December Deals Week 5 and the next weekly sale. So.
Oh, there's another December Deals. Oh, that's fun.
Yes. Yep.
I'm going to guess that Ravenloft will not be in December Deals, so don't wait to purchase Ravenloft.
Yeah, right. It's too soon.
Too soon, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
The coupon code for the week is red and white Bigby hands. You get 5 of each. I was actually expecting them to be red and white, like candy cane, which I thought was, that's kind of neat. But no, you just get 5 red and 5 white. The coupon code is Bigby.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's what's going on in game news.
Much game news.
It's
a lot.
It's actually a fair amount for the time of year.
Well, it's the holidays. You have to have all those like your last minute Christmas gift for yourself or your other DDO friends. So.
Mm-hmm. I do a lot of the social media scheduling for both DDO and Loadshow now. And last Thursday, when all this stuff went on sale, I was like, oh my God, so much messaging. And I need to make sure all the dates and everything were right. So, yeah, it was a lot of work, frankly. but nice. Yeah.
There was some people in the chat also agreeing with me that the red and white, they're a little bummed that it's not a red and white. They're red and white Bigby hands.
Yeah.
Although, on the grand scheme of things, you get 10 instead of 5 that way, so that's kind of nice.
What are those for anyway? I mean, they help like coordinate or something in
they put a little thing on your map, that sort of thing. It's like useful, like if you want to meet someone through Tempest Spine. Actually, if you want to go to Even Note's Twitter feed, there is a particularly good screenshot that I helped participate in for her 7th anniversary live stream. We went and ran Devil Assault, and each stacked up all of our Bigby's hands and spawned something like 200, 300 Bigby's hands in the open space there. So it's quite the colorful, festive looking thing. Yeah.
All right. Interesting.
They're actually pretty popular in Curse of Strahd raid because you have to find cards. So basically, there's I think like 20 to 30 little tiny rooms. And you're looking to find 5 of the right ones, and then you have to hit a torch in each of them in the correct order. So people have been using hands to mark the map, essentially, to kind of get through that. So.
Yep.
Community news, also a February community news, mostly because, again, I took last week off because I couldn't do a 500th episode last week. I didn't want to pass that off to other people. I got to do 500 myself, right? So we get 2 chronicles this week. The 263rd chronicle, and this is probably one of the coolest things that was happening. The fan-sponsored Ravenloft trailer contest, which actually just completed. And let me say it, there were some amazing fan trailers that were made for Ravenloft.
Yeah.
Even including, and I'm not sure it counts as a fan trailer, but even Lena Bell also did a trailer that she submitted that was a little different, we'll say. But watch them all.
I got
They
to
all did a
meet
great
her,
job.
and she's a bundle of enthusiasm, if ever there was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
But there were a lot of really just amazing work by the fans there. So congratulations to all of them. Amy Lee 4000 also was one of those who created there. Melicat created a graphic to help you figure out a particular challenge in the new raid. It's actually the card thing that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Well done, Melly.
Sort of a grid to help coordinate groups. You can be like, yo, B7, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You sank my battleship.
Yeah, right.
No, she's in my guild, and she's the one that kind of came up with a tactic that we've started using. It's been really helpful. The guild for the week, Artifacts and Relics, great guild name, is a group on Kenneth looking for people to join them as they resurrect the guild. The guild is currently above level 30 and growing. The comment for the week, what is the best room in Castle Ravenloft? I mean, it's clearly the treasure room, right?
I imagine so.
I was going to say the man cave. He's had hundreds of years to build it up, so.
I think his man cave is the torture chamber, so I'm not so sure about that.
It's like, wait a minute.
We got a shout out for our episode last week about our last episode about talking about past lives. DDO Players News had a ranger problem. Alex had his first impressions of Ravenloft. Even got lost in the market barracks. I think that's what you're talking
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Sip found the greatest show in Eberron. City Plays DDO looked at Dillard's Tomb. Gaming SF wrote about questing in Ravenloft. And Bachelor Girl played DDO on his live stream. And Grimord took her first look at Ravenloft. Festivus is here. I didn't talk about that yet, but Festivus is here. You can only get the coins in Eberron.
Correct. It's a lore restriction.
Is a shame because
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are running Ravenloft right now. But
Yeah.
Let's see. These 264th Chronicle. The DDO Central wrote a guest column about Ravenloft on BioBreak. Well done, sir. Looking forward to the next. I think there's actually 2 more in that series coming. DDO Players News interviewed voice actress Allie Murphy, who I think you also interviewed a couple weeks back as well.
That's correct. And but check out the DDO Players News interview. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
And Allie Murphy, we've been getting a lot of positive comments from her voice work. She did the voice of the kids in like Death House and stuff, along with some other work. And all of her voice acting has been getting a lot of really positive reviews. So I would not be surprised to see us use her again in the future.
Yeah, it was interesting to me that the DM work was very much more split up than it normally is, because there were like 4 or 5 people who were
I think it was
voice
5.
acting for Ravenloft,
and each one took about, I think it's because we had a little less than 20 characters that we needed voiced, and so we just had to break it up a little more.
But he also did it with the DM voicing as well, which was kind of neat. But it's all across the board really good. But yeah, Allie Murphy's work as the creepy little kids in Death House was very appropriately creepy.
It's real good.
As a quest to really set the horror vibes, that's easily the best one. Teen Blade also created a walkthrough for rares in Barovia. And I think that I actually saw that the explorer points actually move around as well.
Yep.
Which I don't think was an overly popular thing.
Yeah, make you work for it. That's true.
No kidding. Let's see. Nightmare is the guild for the week. It's a small guild on Wayfinder looking to add more players. It's a level 48 guild with airship with bus and is looking for self-sufficient players. The guild also makes use of the Wayfinder cooperative channel, Wayfinder Raids. And
by the way, going back to that map thing, at least we don't have Fog of War.
It's true.
Yeah.
Which does give you a really good feel for how big that area is. I also appreciate that there's guides that will teleport you to any of the places you need to go.
Yeah, right.
The comment for the week: what cookie does the festival jester need to offer next year? I mean, I would assume it'd be a cookie of Strahd, right?
Vargoyle surprise.
Yeah, I don't know.
The fortune cookie.
Sean is saying red velvet. Although I like that more as a classic. I like that more as a cake than a cookie. But let's see, fansite news for us this chronicle. DDO Players News had episode 185, which I was a guest on. We were kind of talking about Ravenloft a little bit. And Damsels of DDO went into Ravenloft with their show. They are off this week. They'll return in 2 weeks, I believe. Issy returned to DDO from break. Has an interesting write-up about it. Gaming SF quested in Barovia. Pineleaf has fresh-baked dreams. Mickey wrote about the quest in Ravenloft. Even went into the Mists of Ravenloft as well. It's a Bard Life was in Barovia.
Just like everybody was running Ravenloft.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
City shared his thoughts about Ravenloft.
Yeah.
It's Good to Be King streams on Saturday. A Very Bad Guild needed a nap. Palani defended the crystal. And hey, like Squishy Caster sold some hard requests. There you go. And Wounds does Raven at the Door on Reaper 10. Holy cow.
On Reaper 10. I know, right? Jeepers.
Oh, Sean's saying blood red velvet cookies. There you go. That's
really nice.
I think these should be cookies that you could put in your mouth and they make you have fangs.
Ooh, I like that.
There you go.
And let's see, some other stuff that I want to mention. The Lava Divers, which is my guild, we did Curse of Strahd, and I Twitched it or streamed it and put a video of that on YouTube. So if you want to see what the Curse of Strahd looks like, and kind of what's going on, it's not a horribly polished walkthrough video. It's just kind of us running it and me kind of talking about what we're doing on the side. But if you want to look at the raid and see what it looks like, that's available for you, and I'll link to that in the show notes. And Voodoo has a series, the Mists of Ravenloft First Look, so he's kind of doing first look at a bunch of the quests. So that's a lot of fun to look into as well. DDOCast news. DDOCast Splat should be back probably the second or third week in January. Still haven't figured that out yet. We've been off for the holidays and just it's a busy time in general. Other DDOCast news. So I kind of alluded to this earlier and hinted to this on DDO Players when I was on Monday. I'm going to change the format of DDOCast a little bit. Why I'm doing that is, one is to try to free myself up a little more time for myself and maybe some other projects. I also want to try to tighten the show times up to about an hour, kind of condense them down a little bit. I also don't want to rush the topic, like our discussions and the news segments that kind of tend to feel kind of rushed as I try to get through everything and still try to keep the show down to an hour and a half, which is kind of what I've been aiming for as well. So to accommodate that or to try to achieve that, I'm going to change a little bit about how I do DDOCast. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start recording the roundtable discussions separately. Then we'll record that, and then I'm going to chop that up and so we'll still have the weekly news section. We'll still do that every week. But the topical discussion I'm going to chop up and tack onto the end of the show. So basically, if you imagine, like, the show would be, hey, hello, welcome, here's the game news, here's the community news, here's the lightning post, hey, thanks for listening, pseudo-ly close out the show, stay tuned, here's some, if we have any commercials or segments, I play them there, and then play portions of a topical discussion. So our first one is going to be Mr. Ravenloft review. So we're gonna record that, and I'm still going to stream them. So on Tuesday the 26th, we're going to stream our review for Ravenloft on Twitch. I'm not going to post that anywhere, that individually, and it's going to be a little weird because you're going to hear me say, okay, and we're going to, that's it for today, and then we'll go right back into, hey, we're talking about this week. So it'll be kind of a weird thing to listen to, but I wanted to make sure people on Twitch, if you just watch the show on Twitch, you can still get all of the content. And then we'll do the news portion later, and then when I publish the show, I'll basically take the two and put them together. Cool. Hopefully I explained that in a way that makes sense.
I understand.
Yeah, but you're the crunchy bits guy.
Yeah, that's true.
Makes sense to me.
My hope for that is to, one, free up a little bit of time for myself. So that probably the recorded, the live show will be, 30 minutes or so to kind of get through the news and stuff like that. And I'll still have guests on the show for that. And then the topical discussion, we'll spend an hour and a half recording that, and then I can splice it up into 2 or 3 shows and kind of put it out with that. So, the shows may also take a little bit longer to get out. Usually right now I try to get them out by Monday, or really by Sunday night, most weeks. These ones may take a little bit longer just because I am going to have to do a little bit more editing and just kind of, again, hopefully splicing it together shouldn't be too bad, but it'll be a little bit longer to kind of push out the shows and stuff like that. But that's where we're going, and hopefully that'll work well for everyone. Yeah. And again, my real hope is that sometimes we start talking about the topical discussions and the roundtable, and it's about an hour, and it's like, I got to get through the news. I know that's going to take about a half an hour at least, and we might want to talk about some of that stuff. And then you end up kind of not really giving the end of the discussion a fair shake, and the news kind of just gets blown through so fast. So,
yeah.
Also, in other kind of general gaming news, Jerry, you want to wrap up Movember?
Oh,
November.
yeah. So that's part of the reason I haven't been able to play a lot of Ravenloft since it came out, because every night after work I've been setting aside an extra hour to get people their incentives and stuff, both for Movember and then on the other game side for Extra Life, because one isn't enough. But anyway, so everyone pretty well has everything that they're looking for at this point. If you messaged me, you should have your stuff, either through the in-game mail or through the forum private message system. If you're listening to this and you're like, hey, I never got anything from you, that's probably because I didn't get your PM or somehow it got lost in the system. So please let me know if you didn't get your incentives and that you donated to Ravenloft. Private message me through the forums, but everyone should pretty well have everything other than some of the meetups are going into 2018. And then the big group giveaways happened late last week. I think I did it on Wednesday night or Thursday. And so that some of that I'm waiting to hear back from, like, what do you want from the community loot list and things like that as well. So some of this is going to be finalized, like, say, first week in January, but everyone should have been contacted by me if you donated. So there you go. And it was a really, really good year this year, like usual. The community just really supports the cause and supports Team DDO there. Let me actually log in real quick and see what the final tally was. But it was for Team DDO, our final tally was $3,402. So that was really, really good this year. I think that might be our biggest year yet. So,
Congrats.
Yep. And all that money goes for prostate cancer support programs, testicular cancer support programs. There's some mental health and research to cancer programs and things like that. And if you go to Movember.com, you can find out that they literally have spreadsheets as to how much they sent last year and who they sent it to. So
very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and thanks for doing that. It's always kind of fun to see what the community can kind of come up with in that regards, and really support some good causes. So,
Yeah.
All right, with that, we'll get into Lightning Post. Got a little bit from our talk about past lives last time. Fuzzy Duck wrote in and said, with his opinion, extra power levels more recently, Barbarian is probably less important than it used to be, although it's still amazing for the early levels. That's the plus 10 hit points per life. He said the purchase of heroic past life feats generally aren't worth it now. He thinks, although there's a couple of exceptions, the cleric healing word is good since it accepts meta magics. Great for arcane casters. The wizard is nice for DC boost and magic missile. Yeah, we talked about that on the show. Warlock's Delver with the forbidden no save confusion effect doesn't break stealth, which can be a lot of fun for sneaky types. I did not know that. That's kind of a neat little trick. Rogue's Sneak of Shadows can be surprisingly effective if you've been able to keep enemies in a vulnerable to sneak state. So we focused on the wizard past life for the DC boost, but he's found the passive part is even more useful. yeah, there's definitely the spell penetration part for that is absolutely very helpful. Martial Sphere skill mastery has a significant bang for your buck. Triple stacked its skill focus in literally every skill. That's the equivalent of 21 free feats. Yes, that's true. If those are important. Let's see, he likes fast healing since it works as well as like a de facto diehard feat. Yes, that actually saved me today in the Baba Hut raid. Is having self healing. So, also on barbarians amongst in particular, you often find yourself not really needing to heal up at all between fights. It's a big chunk of that will happen automatically. So, his pro tip for Ravenloft: if you have some time to spare, run to the quest, and don't use the teleport, as you can find ultras like in Temple of Elemental Evil, which give you some big buffs which carry through into the quests. Only dispelling on death or entering a public area. That's pretty neat. I didn't realize they would last like that. Amber Stein also wrote in and said he likes the Artificer Heroic Past Life feat. It's hard to beat +1 UMD during heroics, and a +1 to all intelligence skills is good for any caster as well. Let's see. Our question for the week comes from Close Collins Shalona, asking, when did we start playing D&D, not just DDO?
I don't know, Sig, if you or me have the oldest tenure on this one. For me, I guess it would have been 82, 83, something like that.
Let's see. I graduated in 89. I first played. My grandparents got me the red box when I was in 5th grade. So it's going to be right around that same time, or very early 80s.
What is it? 80s? 1985?
No, more like 83 or something.
83,
like
wow.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, mine was middle school, so 1989.
Yeah, so I probably first laid eyes on it in 1982, and I probably played it for the first time in 1984.
Right, that was the basic edition red box. Mine was AD&D 2nd edition.
Oh, nice. Yeah, mine was first edition red box 2, and then the expert set, which was the blue box. Me and my twin brother played that. The reason we got really into it is because I am a twin, and so we're often trying to find things to play together when you're kids. And it was easy because we had a built-in Dungeon Master and player. Now, I wouldn't say I played correctly by the actual core rule books until I was a little bit older and more mature and able to understand the complexity of the rule set. But, when I played it, I guess I was 7 or 8. So.
Yeah, and I was a little bit older. First played it in junior high school. And played a couple games, and then I was like, I don't think he's doing it right. And so I started game mastering and been doing that ever since.
Right.
Yep.
Do you remember your first character?
My first character, I made a series of characters. I think it was an elf, because in basic D&D, elf was a class. So.
Rogue Halfling.
It was a cleric, name of Horch, Horch. Terrible name, but hey, whatever. I was a kid, so.
My first character's name, I think, was Dragon Cat.
Nice.
I think it was Tashio. I can't remember. It was like, I don't know why.
But I never played the first character I made. So, because I had the game for about a year and didn't get to play it. And so I would just read through the book, I made a character, and then I would just kind of imagine adventures I might have if I knew anybody else who played.
So I actually, the way it worked for me is I saw the minis first, like the Ralpartha and Grenadier minis first, and I was like, those things are awesome and amazing, and I want those. Now, what are they for? And then when I figured out what they were for, then I was like, well, I want that thing too then. And so that's kind of how I got into pen and paper initially, is through the really awesome monster minis and things like that they released.
Well, I had a great experience when we had the estate sale, when we sold off our stuff to go traveling around the country. And a young lad came in and he saw the dragon magazines and he thought those were great. He loved the pictures of dragons and things. And then he was like, yeah, do you have anything more like this? I was like, we're going to set you up. And so I went and I kind of pulled together a collection of things, just everything he would need to kind of get him started. And, he's like, oh, I only have like this much money. I'm like, That's exactly how much it costs. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
oh, nice. Nicely done. Yeah.
Gotta pass it off well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Gotta
I was
pass
very
it off.
pleased.
Well, because it's like between him and me, we had like tons of D&D collections, so it was nice to give it to someone who would probably play with it. So.
Yep. He was very excited. It was awesome.
Yeah, I started playing in high school,
Nice spaceship.
and when I was playing, it was when I started playing, it was 3.5. So that was what we were. Or actually, we started the first session I played. The first campaign I played was second edition, but 3.5 had already come out, and then we played 3.5 the next when we kind of reset and started again, which I greatly appreciated more than. I was not a fan of THAC0.
Oh yeah.
I've spent hours explaining to my friends how THAC0 works.
They just had
I
charts
picked it
when we
up.
played
Like
first, but-
it was one of those things that I picked up, but I just felt that it really when I played the first time, it was what it was. So this kind of and then we started playing 3.5. It was like, oh my gosh, we can go through a round twice as fast because we don't have to figure out THAC0.
All right, I can understand what you're saying, but here's the thing, though, about THAC0. It teaches you about negative integers. When I got into school, and started doing the math class, I was like, oh, yeah, I know this stuff. This is just like THAC0, So.
Yeah, negative integers.
That's good.
I don't know.
THAC0 was an innovation at one point in time.
Probably unnecessarily complicated, but all right. Well, hey, we're gonna close out the show. Which means in a moment I'll throw out another 500-point code in the chat room, less one digit. And I also sent some private messages. There's a whispered, I think that's what they call it on Twitch, to some folks about getting a free Witch's Creature Companion hat. So thanks for all the folks who joined us in the chat room. Don't forget, we've got some other stuff going on. So you can get a free Lesser Experience Elixir with the coupon code DDOCast500. That's one per account. There's no expiration date, but pick which character you want it on, or what server you want it on at least. We've got the Ultimate Ravenloft code that you can get by sending me a picture. We'll link to the forum page on that, so you can get more information on how to enter that and take advantage of that if you don't have the Ultimate code. Also, we have a 30-day VIP code that we're going to give away, and to get that, you need to respond. You need to comment on this show and say, "Hey, happy 500th," or some sort of congratulations about 500. And again, the best picture and the best Yay 500 comment will get 1,000 points on a Witch's Creature Companion hat as well. So
Nice.
Lots of fun stuff that we're giving away there. And in any case, Jerry, where can people find you? What can you tell us about what's going on? All that fun stuff.
Sure. So once everyone gets back from the holiday break, we're going to be doing a patch for the second Ravenloft raid that came out fairly late in the year here, and it needs a little bit more bug fixing and work. So I'm going to guess we probably have a patch within the first couple of weeks of getting back. So we're doing that, and then we're straight away on update 38, which is going to be really, really cool, but I can't tell you about it yet because we're working on our next producer's letter. And we mostly have 2018 locked down in terms of our plans for the year. And again, the kind of rush to the end of the year left us not quite ready to announce it yet. We're still, confirming a few things with various entities involved and all that sort of thing. So, but assuming all that works out, and there's no reason to think it won't, we've got some really cool news in the early part of the year with a producer's letter that'll talk about things like what to say,
that which cannot yet be named.
Yes. Otherwise, we do actually have a trailer for Ravenloft that again got kind of wrapped up in the Black Friday through end of the year kind of approvals chain slowdown. But we have that ready to go. And so that should be out in early January as well, kind of our official Ravenloft trailer that we're going to have as sort of a main image for YouTube and things like that. Otherwise, check out DDO Stream, twitch.tv/DDO Stream, where you're doing a lot of live streaming there, and we'll be doing more of that in the new year. One of the things that I have as a goal for 2018 is to get either know Bob or Torque or Steelstar on camera in our world building program, kind of showing a little bit, almost like a painting with Bob Ross kind of a thing, how we put together one of these modules. And I think that people would find that extremely interesting, and they've tentatively agreed to do it. So hopefully we'll be doing that in 2018. I have some events that I'm going to be planning for 2018. And then if you just want to follow us on social media, Twitch, Facebook, Google Plus, if you're into that.
Trent, you want to plug what you guys have been working on and stuff like that?
Oh gosh.
Sure. So you can check out Anne's travel writing at trailandhitch.com. And so she's writing articles about our adventures. We're kind of camped up for the winter, but she's writing away. I've been writing for a place called outdoorsy.com, which rents out trailers. So you can see that. Lately, my passion is live video debating on a place called Callout, spelled like Qallout. And so that's callout.com. And you can find me there arguing about practically everything. And if you want to argue about DDO stuff, I'd be happy to engage you in a debate, and we could share the love of the game with other people on that site. So.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Cool.
You can always come back for one of our DDOcast debate episodes, too.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I am playing right now. I have not played a lot of DDOcast DDO as we've traveled around, but I've got an active sub at the moment, and I'm just bought Ravenloft, so I'm playing through it, and I'm going to do a bunch of it tonight.
Well, thanks for everyone for listening to the show, especially to the folks in the chat room. Thanks for my guests here to joining me for today. And thanks to all the contributors for DDOcast that have made 500 episodes not feel like a chore or work. And it's been a lot of fun, and it's been a pleasure to work with them all. Thanks also to San Antonio Games for their support, especially for the prizes for this week, and to Wizards of the Coast for supporting San Antonio Games and making DDO a possibility. And thanks to Cyberish for hosting the podcast. If you want to support the show, you can visit our website, DDOcast.com. We also have a calendar there, so you can check out that, when the shows are going to be, previous shows. We have swag if you like it, a Christmas present. And we've got a bunch of other fun stuff there as well. If you'd like to be a part of the show, or if you have a comment on this episode, don't forget, if you comment on this episode and say, hey, happy 500, you can win 30 days of VIP. Also, a question you'd like to hear us answer, maybe a topic you'd like to hear us debate about, or you just want to say hi, leave us a comment. You can email us at ddcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media. I'm at ddcast on Twitter. It's the best place, or Facebook as well. You can also follow us there for the latest cast updates. Our closing tip for the week comes from Will and Argo. He says, it's a game. Just have fun. So until next time, may all your attack rolls be crits, all your chest level appropriate, have fun, and don't forget to gather for buffs.